Welcome back everyone, this is Modern with Randy. I am Randy. Today I thought I'd go over a deck that has really been taking Modern by storm at this point. You really can't see a top 8 or a 5-0 dump without it being in there. So it is the Izzet Ragavan Monkey deck, Murktide Region, whatever you want to call it, type deck, essentially. But I decided to go over what it's playing, why is it doing so well, what's really making it dominate the meta at this point. So we'll start off by, it's only running 19 lands, so it's really land light, making to where you have a lot more live draws. You're not going to be flooding out nearly as much, or at least you shouldn't be flooding out with 19 lands, but as we know, if you play a low land count, you can still flood out. But it's a pretty simple mana base, 4 Spiderwolf Canals, 4 islands, 3 steam vents, and then 8 fetch lands. So, nothing too crazy, nothing exciting there. What really makes this deck tick, though, is going to be Dragon Rage Channeler. This card has really just taken Modern by storm. It's probably one of the best cards in Modern Horizons 2, to be honest. Basically, that Surveil, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, has just made so many decks better. It's helped out so much, and then it just ties this deck all together. Basically, whenever you cast any of your spells, being able just to put the lands in the graveyard, help turn on Delirium, make sure you're drawing something relevant next turn or the turn after. Just making sure you can keep your card draw coming and spells coming is phenomenal. And then, obviously, it's going to be playing Ragavan, the monkey that has caused so much trouble in so many different decks. I really need to talk about why this card's good. If you haven't figured out why it's good, play any Modern League, you'll see, play it. You'll see, basically just being a 2-1 for 1 is not that impressive. Basically, when you attack, though, and do combat damage to a player, you get a treasure token and you get to exile the top card of the library. So, what a lot of people don't know, or probably just by looking at this, you think that the exiling the top card of the library is the good part. Honestly, it's that treasure token is what makes him so great. Being able to have extra mana, or being able to have 3 mana on turn 2 is just huge. Being able to, play Dragon on 1, attack, exile their top card, doesn't really matter what it is, because you're probably not casting it unless it's something great. And just being able to, drop a Dragon Rage Channeler, or being able to bolt their guy and then hold up Counterspell. Any of these things is just huge. The treasure token is what really makes that card great. And then, of course, the other new card from Modern Horizons, Murktide Regent. Card is great. Basically, it's always going to be a big flying threat that doesn't get hit by just about anything in the format. Unholy Heat's usually the only thing that can touch this, but depending on when you get to delve or how many instants and sorceries you're delving away, you can even make it big enough to be outside of a Holy Heat and need to be double spelled or something of that nature. It's just a great card and a great threat, basically. So, the deck, light on lands, only 12 creatures, but they're all bangers. They all will take out the game by themselves or overrun the game by themselves. Dragon Rage Channeler, or Darcy, as he's referred to a lot, will give you excellent card selection and then become a 3/3 flyer. Ragavan will let you just have infinite extra mana, essentially. Obviously, it's not going to be infinite, but just having extra 1, 2, 3 mana piles up is amazing, and then Murktide is just in there to finish everything off. And then, moving on, the removal suite, we have 3 Unholy Heat and 4 Lightning Bolt. Talk about the common that flew under people's radar. Unholy Heat is amazing. Turns out that Shock is still good in Modern, and then just 6 damage to be able to kill a Planeswalker or a creature is amazing. Basically, you're already going to be activating Delirium with Darcy in play, so it's not too hard to get it towards dealing 6 damage. Being able to take out any Planeswalker, basically, as soon as it hits the field, or just taking out just about any creature in Modern feels great. Amazing card, just gets the job done. And then we all know why Lightning Bolt's good. It's been in Modern since the beginning of Modern, and this card will never stop seeing play. Then for our counter suite, we have Force Negation, Counterspell, and then Archmage's Charm, which also acts as an interaction spell and card draw spell all in one. But Force Negation, we know why it's good. I mean, being able to tap out for Murktide in 2 or 3, and then have Force Negation as backup, always good. Counterspell, come on. We know why this card's good, being able to counter anything for 2 mana. And then we have Mr. Bobble to help turn on Darcy, as well as card draw and card selection. Being able to bobble yourself, decide if you want to keep that card, then either crack a fetch, or just go ahead and draw that card. Amazing. Thought Scour, again, helps fill your Delve and Delirium. And just a good draw card as well. Expressive Iteration, another card that kind of flew under people's radar when it first came out in Strixhaven. Card is just gas. Being able to look at the top 3, and then you have Darcy out, just being able to surveil, so you get to look at the top 4. This is amazing, and just being able to put land on the bottom, or if you need to land, helps you dig for it. Finding either a threat or a counter, or a threat or a removal spell, another draw spell, always does good. And then Archmage's Charm. I know some lists are not playing 4, some are playing 0, 2, 1. It all depends on what your choice is. I think that 4 Archmage's Charm is where you want to be, or at least 3 at the very least. Just because being able to, the counter spell is relevant, but not as relevant as just being able to keep the card draw coming or interact and steal, a late game Ragavan or Darcy. It's really just a great overall card. But this is the this is the main deck of Izzet Monkey overall. I mean, obviously there are a couple cards that are going to be different depending on who you're playing against, what their choice is. I know some people have been playing Spell Pierce. There's some other things that have been going in around just to try to get the edge in the mirror match and such, because I mean, honestly, if you're playing any kind of modern, you're going to be running into this deck. It is just overwhelmingly dominant at this point. It's very good. There's not really a reason not to be running it, honestly. But moving on to the sideboard. So this is obviously geared towards, what this person was wanting to beat or need to beat. But I mean, most of these cards are going to be the same. I know Flusterstorm has started seeing a lot of play because it's good against the Cascade decks, as well as just the mirror match. Really any deck you're trying to win on mana advantage with. Then Alpine Moon, I know, has been seeing a bunch of play for the Urza decks, and it's being able, or Urza Saga decks, I should say, not Urza decks, but the Urza Saga decks, because it just turns it off. Soul Guide Lanterns in there, obviously, for all the graveyard shenanigans that are running around. Engineer Explosives to get rid of any really annoying permanents that you might need to be hitting. Another Unholy Heat, just in case you really need the extra 6 damage. So, against like Titan, things like that, just having another good removal spell, and then Shattering Spree for all the artifact decks that are running around. Pretty good overall sideboard. Obviously, you can tailor this to whatever your meta is going to be or what you're expecting to see. If you're expecting to see 0 artifact decks, you're not going to be having 3 sideboard Shattering Sprees. You're going to be putting something else in that's going to help you. But like I said, this is just a deck I kind of wanted to go over and talk about a little bit more in depth, in case if you've been seeing it around and you're like, I don't understand it, why is it doing so well? Like 12 threats doesn't seem like it should get there. It's only playing 19 lands, how is it not miss land drops or flood out or get mana screwed? Like, what's going on? Let's thought I'd go over this and kind of talk about what this deck is and why it's being so dominant. Basically, it's just everything you want to do. It's almost the equivalent of a legacy deck in modern. It's low to the ground with its mana curve. You're basically not going over 3 mana. Riptide Region's never going to cost 7. It's going to cost 3, maybe 4 max, and that's even hard to believe most of the time. Archmage's Charm is really the only outlier here, costing 3 mana, but it's just because it's so good. At least in my opinion, it's so good. I think they should be playing 3 to 4 of them, because how gives that edge? I mean, Forcing Negation again usually is a free spell. You're just pitching something to it. But this is essentially what you're going to be running into a lot in going into challenges or just even leagues. You're going to see this deck everywhere. I mean, it's already everywhere. It's just overwhelmingly powerful. But the ways on to defeat this, honestly, it's kind of hard. Like, you're going to have to find a deck that you can, 1-for-1 trade with and then still have card advantage somewhere, because this deck is just riddled with card advantage, whether it's counterspell, taking out bigger spells, or removal spells. Mr. Bobble with Darcy for card selection, Thought Scour to fill the graveyard for Delve or for Darcy's Delirium, Plus you have Archmage's Charm, Special Restoration to your Nether draws. Then Ragavan that can sometimes get something off the opponent's top deck, but really is just going to be making sure that we're continuously on mana. Honestly, it's a hard deck to fight because you don't really want to bring in Graveyard Hate because that's not really worth it. But at the same time, it is because you want to turn off the Delirium. You want to make Murktide Regent a dead card in their hand. But then they're still just going to get you with Ragavan or even with Darcy to filter to their sideboard cards and get rid of that. So it's deck is challenging to play against. I mean, obviously, now in the perfect world, you just be able to answer all their cards and pull ahead with card advantage with whatever it is in your deck that you have. But it's easier said than done. I know I've watched countless people lose to this deck. I've lost to this deck a couple times myself, just playing the different decks I've been running. But this is what you're going to be running into for the foreseeable future. I don't think this is like, flavor of the month or flavor of the week type deck. I think this is here to stay until either something gets banned or something changes in the meta overall. But I mean, this deck is geared to beat just about anything and everything. Don't get me wrong, you can get there with like some of the Cascade decks that are running around, things like that. I think that the black-red version of this has game against it as well, just because of Voidwalker and stuff like that. So it turns off Darcy and Murktide Regent. It makes it harder for them to cast these. It plays, like a million one-mana removal spells. So I do think you can beat this deck. I think it is just going to be hard, and this deck is built to grind and chip away at the opponent. Being whether it's Ragavan, Darcy, Murktide Regent, or just slowly controlling and just getting in there with one creature. Like, this deck is built, and you will see it everywhere if you haven't already. But that's just this. I know later on this week I'll be releasing a video of me playing in the actual league and doing some stuff. But leave a comment, like, subscribe if you like the channel. Give me feedback on anything you think I'm doing wrong or anything you don't like about this. But I will see you guys next time.